12:37 now, Ben. We might as well get started, I think.
I think so, Baxter, as well. So just a brief introduction, guys. Baxter, if you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Hi all. So my name is Baxter Knight, one of the growth specialists here at LendStream, predominantly working with our team of advisors, also dipping the toes in and speaking to a lot of our borrowers, and actively seeking to improve the product that we are providing through conversations with both of those parties.
Beautiful. And ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben McGinn. I'm also a part of the growth specialist team at LendStream. Again, very similar to Baxter, dealing predominantly with advisors like yourself, in hopefully getting you aboard to assist a lot of our clientele as it does stream through the platform, and ultimately dealing with that operation on the advisory side. Also dipping toe in as well with the borrower perspective, qualifying those clients they do come across the platform within the capacities that we do have amongst the group. I guess I'm going to start with a little bit of introduction, guys, just before we move through, obviously, and learn a bit more about the LendStream platform and where you guys can derive some great value for your firms. To start off, thanks very much, obviously, for taking a bit of time out of your day today. I know everyone's pretty busy at the moment, especially in the accounting space, with the likes of JobKeeper and all of that reporting due either last week or very, very soon into the back end of this week. We won't take too much of your time. We'll be done by just before 1 o'clock, which is great. And as I did say before to a couple of participants, but for anyone that's recently joined in, please feel free to bring up that lendstream.com.au website and navigate your way through that as we do talk in the presentation today. We will not be sharing our screen just sheerly due to providing more of a holistic approach and overview to the platform itself, but do feel free to ask any questions as you do move through the site. I guess today we're here to learn a little bit about LendStream and how we can grow your practice, how we can grow your business, provide you with new clientele, and also help your existing clientele in a variety of different ways, which Baxter and I will elaborate on moving forward into the presentation today. I would like to set the scene for a second, guys. Obviously, COVID-19, what a blow that has been to our economy within Australia and the global economy as well, certainly in the larger picture. As we saw about 3 weeks ago, the Treasurer's jumped up and said that 70%, we've had a 7% decline, I should say, in our Australian economy as a result of the pandemic, the closure of businesses moving into insolvency, temporary closures due to restrictions, over 835,000 jobs lost. And that is a growing number as well, which is somewhat sad to see. But amongst all this, the message has been to pivot, to pivot, to pivot, to pivot. It's a pivotal word of this pandemic. And we are seeing more businesses move online to drive, obviously, revenue sales in that retail market through food, in that hospitality sector, certainly providing with the likes of Uber Eats using their very, I guess, intrinsic and professional platforms to stream revenue through those avenues as face-to-face interactions are now no longer possible or very limited. In your spaces, in the accounting and that professional practice, even with lawyers that we speak to, moving to an online space like LendStream, where we can provide you with clientele in an online environment that inquire through us, that are qualified, and then push through to you to deal with in a more permanent basis, is certainly a way that we can help you pivot. So leveraging the platform, certainly moving into that online presence, which is so key, and new ways to find clients outside of the traditional methods of word of mouth, which is becoming somewhat obsolete in these new times. And we are here to help you do this. And today we're going to teach you about how we will assist in you providing that benefit and that value to your business. Essentially, we're here to help small SMEs, Australian businesses. They're the hero of the piece. They come across our platform and we qualify them. And the ultimate goal there is to obtain them competitive funding through our lending partners, both public and private. And your role in that is pivotal, because through that, we're receiving a lot of inquiry that businesses essentially that have let their accounting go astray, let it sit down for a period of 2, 3, up to 6 months. We've seen in some cases of which they need that help to get that updated, P&Ls, etc., BAS statements, to ensure that they're a acceptable and a good candidate for a lender, that they're very appealing on paper. And we're going to show you how potentially you guys can do that in partnering with LendStream and assisting our current client base and future client base. Baxter, would you like to elaborate a bit more on exactly how we do that, mate?
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for that introduction, Ben. It was great. Obviously, as Ben explained, our business's true north is to help as many SMEs throughout Australia as we possibly can. We know that there are over 2 million small to medium-sized businesses across Australia. They employ most of the population, pay all the GST, And so many of these businesses do become vulnerable, particularly in the current economic climate. We're seeing so many businesses in positions that, are truly quite sad, businesses that do need to secure funding for different reasons. But we're also seeing a lot of, exciting opportunities for startups to grow and come out of the works. And obviously we're trying to help those businesses secure funding as well. So the way in which our platform works, the marketplace itself is, essentially based around a real estate.com or a car sales Gumtree type model, where advertisements are used to gain interest in the prospective product. Obviously, that advertisement for us is business loans and business. When I say businesses, I mean SMEs and their business loan inquiries. So we generate our borrowers, which we like to call them, through a series of different avenues. So our most successful avenue of lead generation is obviously through Google AdWords, and our SEO team obviously does a mountain of work to bring in, a lot of lead generation through that. We obviously do have some small success through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn type advertising as well. From there, with that, quantity of lead generation that we do see, there obviously comes a lot of tie kickers, dead leads as well. So we do go through a filtering process to ensure that all of the borrowers that come to us are, motivated, qualified, and actively seeking to either, secure funding or improve their business. So there's a couple of different ways. Obviously, once they come into our business, we do have a streaming team that goes through the qualifying process. Typically that is anywhere from a 10 to a 30, 40-minute conversation over the phone. Vetting, qualifying, asking all the right questions that have been built by finance brokers, accountants, and other advisors to ensure that we can, determine whether the business is in a position to pursue their funding straight away through the marketplace, or potentially they may need some advisory assistance to put themselves in a position that they are eligible to, post their advertisement and secure funding. This is the process of getting the borrower what we like to call loan approved ready. And what we mean by that is obviously, putting the SME in a position that they can then obviously actively go and seek funding, and not only seek it, but actually secure it. So there's a couple of different ways and a couple of different avenues we can go once we have vetted and qualified the client. We can obviously take their advertisement direct to market and post it up on the marketplace through our advertising routes, or we stream them directly to our accountants to obviously, compile the information that we need to take their loan request to market. Obviously, with this, Ben, there comes different opportunities from that lending perspective. Would you like to just briefly touch on, the different types of lenders that we use and how there could potentially be investment opportunities for the accountants and our advisors' clients?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Baxter, for that. That was a really good insight into, I guess, the customer journey, certainly, and how we deal with those borrowers as they come over the platform. To give you a bit of an indication, ladies and gentlemen, of that additional value proposition that we have mentioned to some of you already, there is a key piece there in that peer-to-peer private lending space. So obviously, through your accounting firms, you've got some great relationships and currently working with some wonderful high net worth individuals and self-managed super funds. And through those avenues, we're able to provide, along with the technology within the platform and the borrowers we're seeing on the platform, high quality investment opportunities for those types of clients. So ordinarily, you're seeing those types of clients have a degree of liquid funding within their portfolios, and they're obtaining up to 1.5%, I think at best at the moment. CBA is offering 1.6% on a short-term savings opportunity there to drive a degree of ROI on that investment. What we're seeing here is an opportunity to get a much greater return through investing in small to medium Australian businesses. Ultimately, the key cornerstone, the pillar to the Australian economy, where essentially you can derive assistance and providing help into the Australian economy to building that back up again in such a distressed time that we're now in. And from an individual's point of view, a great gain on that liquid funding where available. So obviously from a legal standpoint, we're not suggesting you to ever go in front of one of your clients and say, invest in X or invest in XY business. But certainly there is an opportunity there. And as we have seen with our existing partners, to educate your clientele, educate those SMSFs and high net worth individuals on opportunities on the website. So we provide you with educational tools and material, PDF documentation, to essentially educate those customers on those different opportunities available. And they're free to roam across the site, inquire as they will. The site is very user-friendly in that way. So they're able to inquire on a certain advertisement, filter through the different advertisements. There's currently over 500 active on the space, and ultimately provide funding through to those clients of ours. So a great opportunity for investment as well to keep in mind. Baxter, I guess at this point, did you want to touch on the flip side of that, the funding opportunities for existing clients?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that, Benny. Obviously, there's a couple of different value propositions we've already spoken about from the accountant's perspective, the advisors that we look to partner up. Obviously, the initial one is to help and educate on that investment piece. Obviously, the referral piece as well, which I briefly touched on earlier. But a really important piece that we see, and obviously the true value and the true goal of our platform to secure funding for SMEs is obviously a really important factor for all of our advisors that we bring on. We open up the opportunity for your clients to secure funding through our platform free of charge. So typically, the borrowers that do come to us through our lead generation type avenues pay an advertising fee to post their advertisement up on the marketplace to expose their deals to lenders and hopefully get some inquiry. All of our partnering accountants and advisors can provide that service to their clients free of charge. So we're more than happy to take on any of your clients, post their deals up on our marketplace, and obviously help to secure them funding through our broad network of lenders, obviously public and private, as Ben mentioned before. And hopefully, you're going to improve the business of your clients by securing them funding. If they're in a vulnerable position, securing them funding to hopefully, sustain their business and hopefully then improve. If they're in startup mode, obviously to grow their business. If they're an established business just looking for some working capital, then that's obviously the opportunities that arrive there are obvious. So, obviously improving the businesses, securing them funding, providing investment opportunities and referrals are the three value propositions that we have here for our accountants. This does come at a small fee. We do run at a subscription-based model for all of our advisors. And Ben, would you just like to briefly touch on how we do our pricing and how we structure that?
Certainly, thanks, Baxter, for that. So our pricing model is, as Baxter did say, a subscription model. And that ordinarily might be a bit of a surprise to you, ladies and gentlemen. I guess dealing with other platforms such as OneFlare and Bark, you're paying more on a pay per lead scenario, of which can become quite costly. Now, I've had many a conversation of those types of those accountants that are using those types of platforms, and certainly spending north of $600 a month. We are by no means charging anything around that figure or around that region. So our first package starts at $195. So it's a pretty reasonable investment for what we have spoken about today. 3 key value propositions: assisting your clients, additional services in providing funding opportunities and investment opportunities, and also the tangible aspect of course, the referral piece, providing new business, growing your operation, and long-term clients. The key there as well is that in that OneFlare and Bark example, those types of clients are coming in a very transactional manner. So they're looking for a P&L and maybe a simple BAS statement to be completed. In this environment, you're being linked to a really positive experience for the borrower. They are moving forward through the platform with your assistance to gain funding, to grow, to get out of a distressful time in whatever it may be, cash flow lending or growth capital or equipment finance. It's an exciting opportunity for them. And if we can secure the funding, which in most cases we do, then certainly that you're linked to a positive experience. And ultimately through that, they are staying with you in a more longer term basis. So the client retention rates from what we do see with our existing advisors is considerable in comparison to the OneFlares and Barks of this world. I guess to keep in mind, we are not a referral driven business, certainly not. So when looking at that pricing figure of 195 and the subscription model, the reason we run on that is sheerly due to the fact that we don't want to pay per lead, because we're not invested in increasing your lead flow in a quantity, as opposed to we're more so providing a quality lead. So that might be one up to four, as we've seen in previous circumstances with our current advisors on the platform per month. That changes, and we will elaborate on that through the question time, through some questions that have been passed through before the webinar today. But certainly it is more about the holistic approach of the platform. Take the advantages from it as you will. Certain accountants see opportunities in the investment piece and exclusively that, and don't want to receive any referrals. Others see the referral piece as the real growth factor for their business, and we certainly do provide that service where necessary. So it's about tailoring the experience, ladies and gentlemen, which is what we want to do. And ultimately, through that recurring month to month, no contractual agreement, we're able to, I guess, hold up our end of the bargain there. We are motivated to provide you good quality value through the process, because ultimately, and the blunt nature of it is, if you weren't enjoying it, you jump off. Now, fortunately, we've seen that in very few occurrences. So a great testament to the platform and the way that subscription model does work. Ultimately, we, as I say, are motivated to provide you with the most possible value within that piece each month. Baxter, did you want to run through some questions now? We have had a couple come.
Yeah, beautiful.
So do you want to start us off with Wes's question there?
Lovely, Ben. So we might just touch on briefly this one. And it is a question that we do get quite a lot. Obviously, the referral piece, we don't try and make the hero of the relationship between us and the advisor, but it's a question that does come up a lot. And that is, how do you choose who gets each lead when they come through the platform, and obviously after we go through our qualifying process? It is a very good question. Obviously, once we bring our advisors on, our accountants, we take them through a series of sign-up informative questions that we create internally, so we can create their internal profile. Questions based on geography, where you would specifically like to work with clients, whether you're, pretty particular in the sense you only like to work with clients that are geographically based within your area. If you like to work with clients in a broader range, if you like to, potentially work with clients Australia-wide. So geographic is obviously a fairly important one. A lot of the SMEs that come to us would prefer to work with someone that they can go physically see face-to-face. So it's something that we do like to connect them with someone within the area. And obviously, preferences, specializations. Every advisor is going to have different specializations, different clients that they particularly like to work with, whether they, are open and willing to work with startups, businesses that need, initial structuring, financial advice, potentially taxation advice and ongoing service throughout the growth of their business, or, they're particularly only looking for businesses that are interested in restructuring, or established businesses that are looking to take over their books. So, specialization, geography are very important. Obviously, with that, there does come a sense of, when the SME comes to us, there may be opportunities for them to be partnered with different advisors, and there may be not an exclusive approach to that lead. So obviously, our preference would be to stream them out directly and exclusively with one particular accountant. But we also do open up the opportunity if they would like to have conversations with different advisors. So, we would in every instance would make sure that would be no more than, potentially 2 or 3 different accountants. We try and keep that number fairly exclusive. And our preference is to keep it completely exclusive, but obviously it comes back on the borrower and what they want. At the end of the day, we're here to service them and help their business grow. And if their preference is to speak to, multiple accountants, then we will allow them to do so. So I suppose that answers the question on how we select, the accountant that we're going to pass the borrower on to. And hopefully that gives you some sort of clarity on how that process works from our end internally. Do you want to answer that next question there?
Yes, definitely. So Scott's come in and asked, how many referrals are we to expect in each month? Now, good question, and we do get this one a lot. As we have discussed in today's webinar, referrals are a part of the piece, certainly, and are a key value proposition for a lot of our accountants. And where possible, we provide the most amount of referrals at the greatest quality, and that's definitely a key motivating factor for our borrower team internally within LendStream. We like to take a long-term view on this, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. So that's purely regarding the packages that we offer, the longer-term subscription model that we do offer as well. I know Ray has signed up in a 3-month opportunity there, which is great to see. So we're more thinking it really depends on that criteria, as Baxter mentions. So of course, if you're more broad, if you want to deal with a larger amount of business opportunity, whether that be startup, whether that be established, whether that be unsecured or secured, whether that be in a certain industry, if you're open to a wider range of business and clientele, then certainly we're able to provide you with a greater amount of referrals and expose you to a larger amount of our borrower pool. To work pure on history and facts, which we will remain, of course, we're dealing with anywhere between 1 to 4 referrals per month. It totally is depending on the size of the accounting firm, of course, the time that they've come into the LendStream platform, and the amount of referrals that we have coming over the platform that do fit that criteria and are qualified and need accounting help. So that changes time to time. We make no promises on that front, but where possible, obviously trying to provide the most amount of value and referrals through to each of our advisors on our platform. We're heavily dependent on that criteria, as I did mention, that you do put forth in the onboarding process, and that essentially, so the buck's left with you there. If you're open and broad to working with a large amount of clientele, we can definitely fulfill that that opportunity there in the referral stream. Baxter, just in regards to the lenders we worked, I noticed that James put through a question there. Did you want to touch on the amount we do deal with?
Beautiful. Just prior to that, we've actually just got a question come through from Yash, so I might answer that just quickly.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry.
She's asked how old LendStream is. So we are actually in startup mode ourselves. So in the platform's current state, we've actually really only been live for probably 4 or 5 months now. So we're in a really exciting position that we're growing quite rapidly. We're in startup mode, and we're testing the waters, I suppose, in a sense, with a few different angles on how we can package up our borrowers, how we can present them to lenders, how we can pass them on to our advisors. Throughout the really short, brief history of LendStream, we've already seen the business take a number of different pivots. As Ben was talking about earlier, being in a COVID economy, ourselves needed to make a few different changes. And where we've landed at the moment on this marketplace type model is super exciting. We're helping so many businesses, exposing them to the network of lenders, which I'll touch on just briefly in a minute. But yeah, the opportunities that are there through the marketplace type models are substantial, and they are greater than the opportunities that were there prior, in our previous business model. So we're in startup mode. It's exciting. We're growing rapidly. The team here is also growing, and our advisory base and customer and borrower base is also growing too. So just to touch on the next question there, how many lenders do you work with? So our network of lenders at the moment, I'm not sure if you've got the website up in front of you or not, but if you don't, then I definitely encourage you to go have a look afterwards. We do advertise all of our lenders there through the marketplace. So at the moment, there's 80 plus lenders that are advertised. So obviously you've got your majors, your second tier lenders, etc., that are advertised there. And then obviously the private investor portfolio that Ben touched on briefly earlier. Obviously, having this substantial network of lenders creates a competitive aspect to the lending process. So rather than your typical finance broker to lender relationship where they're streaming directly to one lender at a time, we're opening up the borrower to a substantial network of lenders, both in the private and public sector. And obviously that's creating competition between the lenders and actually in turn, making a competition to fight for the borrower's business in a sense. At the moment, we're sitting at around 50 plus lender inquiries on different deals per week, which is exciting. So it means that the lender appetite is there. Obviously, lender appetite's changing literally by the day, particularly at the moment. So with that network of large lenders, we are able to find someone that does have the appetite for most, if not all of our borrowers, which is exciting. So at the moment, that's all the questions we do have here. If anyone does have any last minute questions, do feel free to shoot them through now. We might just wait one more minute for any more that come through. But as a whole, guys, it's been really great to explore our platform, inform you all of the exciting times we are having here at LendStream, being in our startup mode, as I just touched on briefly. It's super rewarding and fulfilling to be able to help so many Australian businesses at the moment. particularly in the current economic climate, which we touched on. There's been so many hard luck cases that we're seeing at the moment, and it's great to be able to help them in the best way we can. But ongoingly as well, we see us as a business coming out the back of COVID in a really strong position to help many more businesses in the future over the next 2, 3, 5+ years. And we can't wait to share that experience with all of our advisors, and we encourage you to come on board and obviously become one of our dedicated advisors, so you can share in the rewarding process as well. Anything you would like to add there, Ben, at the end? I don't think we've got any more questions coming through, so happy to wrap it up here.
Thank you very much for that, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure to obviously present this evening and I guess give you a bit more insight into the LendStream platform and how we can really provide some good quality value to your operations that are currently all already doing wonderful things, but we'd love to be a part of that and obviously have you aboard the team. I would just on a final note encourage everyone to jump onto your LinkedIns, your Instagrams and your Facebooks and give us a follow, LendStream.com.au. On there, you'll also be able to see any success stories more recently that have been posted by our marketing team of clients that have obtained funding through the marketplace. So we'd encourage you to go do that and also keep yourselves updated on any news coming out of the LendStream family today and into the future. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today and taking some time to learn a bit about the platform. And we look forward to having discussions with you moving forward.
Thanks, guys.